celebrating the second day of the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a festival of lights, and the story of Hanukkah dates back some 2,200 years ago to the time of the Second Temple, which was ransacked by the Greeks, who tried to impose their Hellenistic and hedonistic way of life on all those who were living in Israel and beyond. And after a series of very, very tactful battles, which took a number of years, finally the small group of Jews called Maccabees were able to regain control over the temple and to rededicate it. And the word Hanukkah actually means dedication. There was just one problem. When they came to the temple, they needed pure olive oil to light the menorah, the candelabra. But they could not find any pure oil. It had all been contaminated by the Greeks. And they searched and they searched and they searched, and miraculously they found one pure cruse of oil. But the challenge was that that cruse of oil that they found was sufficient to last for just one day. And they needed enough oil to last for a minimum of 8 days, because that is how much time it would have taken for them to procure new oil. And wouldn't you know it, miracle of miracles, the oil burned and burned and burned for 8 days and 8 nights until they were able to procure the new oil. And therefore, the sages established that in memory of this miracle, they were going to light candles every day of Hanukkah, this 8-day festival. And this is the story of Hanukkah, which we have been celebrating for 2,200 years. Now, although the story of Hanukkah, the miracle of Hanukkah, the holiday of Hanukkah is in essence a Jewish holiday, its message, however, is extremely universal. Because what Hanukkah represents is the idea of right over might, of freedom over tyranny, of justice, of the right to practice and to serve God, each person in their own way. And therefore, it has become a long-standing custom to take menorahs, candelabras, and light them in very public places. And I'm very pleased to report that the menorah was lit yesterday at the Alberta legislature with her and his honor, the Lieutenant Governor, Lois and Mitchell Douglas, Mitchell and Doug Mitchell, who lit the menorah, and we were featured on television, and we had hundreds of people there from a wide cross-section of the community. The menorah was lit last night, just in front of the Eiffel Tower. It was lit in Lafayette Square, just outside the White House. It was lit on Parliament Hill. It's literally being lit around the world, because that message of Hanukkah is something which transcends. You want me to pretend I'm speaking to my kids? I can do that. Testing. Okay, I'll continue on. The message of Hanukkah. But that's not a problem, don't worry, because we're going to light the candles with matches, and you'll get one of the technicians to come soon and light us up again. I think we may have the trip to breaker. But you know what? That's what happened in the Holy Temple, the breaker trip. You should just move in more. Yeah.
Come on in, everybody.
Come a little closer.
Come on in.
I know some of you are going to say this was all stage. Hey, got some juice. Fantastic.
All right.
You can still stay close. You can still stay close. Yes. Yes, we got some religious Jews here. Yes. The menorah is being lit by politicians, by leaders from around the world because of the universality of the message of Hanukkah. And I want to take this opportunity, as I will later on a little bit more elaborately, to thank all the people at the EIA for extending Edmonton International Airport to allow for this ceremony, and we hope, with God's help, to continue to spread light throughout Canada and throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it's my honor to call upon the CEO of the Edmonton International Airport, Mr. Tom Ruth, to please share with us a few words.
Thank you, Rabbi, and happy Hanukkah and welcome to EIA. I'm honored that you've chosen EIA for this celebration. And I think you've really made a good choice, because really what we're all about is to be welcome. You know, every year we probably have over 10 million people that touch foot on the airport between going on flights, coming from flights, people that are picking up people on flights. So we're a place that's a cauldron of emotions. We're a place where people come from countries all over the world, customs all over the world, and religions all over the world. And we really take our role as people that are welcoming people so seriously. For many people, we're their first introduction to Canada, first introduction to Alberta, first introduction to the Edmonton region. And so it's really important that we're a welcoming place for people on that all-important first visit to Canada, or even for some people, it's their new home, as we're finding more and more with refugees and others. So it's really an important part of what we do. And don't be fooled by the number of people that are here right now. We have here in the evening, there'll be hundreds of thousands of people that come through here that get a chance to see what's going on, to see what we're celebrating here tonight. And I really want to thank Chabad of Edmonton for really taking the time to do this, which we will hope will be a long tradition. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to light the menorah. At the end of the day, with all the fanfare and the celebration, each one of us has a responsibility to light a candle in different ways. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually light I'm going to light the menorah, the actual real menorah, this one out of candles. And I'm going to make the blessings, after which I'm going to call upon the CEO of Edmonton International Airport to translate the blessing. His dad, he should live and be well, is a big Old Testament enthusiast and has taken Hebrew lessons, and you can never tell when your Hebrew lessons come to good use. So lo and behold, he would have never believed that his son would be standing here on some cold night and we're saying blessings in Hebrew. But we're going to do that right now, and then we're going to go on to the blessings and some explanation about Hanukkah. We begin by lighting what's called the attendant candle. This is called the shamash, and although we say there are 8 nights of Hanukkah, and we have 8 candles, but we know you have +1. The +1 is the attendant, it's called the shamash, and this is the one that serves the other 8. I would normally take it out, but I worked so hard to get it in, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the lighter. But I'm going to make the blessing, and the blessing is, well, the CEO will translate it for us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim l'avoseinu bayamim hahem bizman hazeh. Tom, it's all yours.
Blessed are you, Lord, God of the universe,
who has commanded us to light these Hanukkah candles. And the second blessing, which also opens up with those words that Tom just said, is we thank God for the miracles. She'asa nisim l'avoseinu, you have made miracles by Yomim Haim in those days, basman hazeh, in this time. And that's a very, very meaningful blessing, because in essence what we're saying is that although the miracle happened 2,200 years ago, the message is as important today as it was thousands of years ago. And it's interesting, our sages share with us a very interesting insight. When the holiday was established, there was a difference of opinion, 2 schools of thought, as to how the menorah should be lit. One school of thought said, let us begin by lighting 8 candles and work our way down. Second night 7, 6, 5, and so forth. The other school of thought, which won out, is that we should light the first night 1 and in a growing fashion until we receive 8. Now, the philosophy behind the two schools of thought were that the whole idea of Hanukkah is to drive away the darkness. So why don't we begin with a real blast of light, drive away the darkness, so to speak, and then work our way down as things, so to speak, quiet down and ease off. However, the second school of thought, which is the prevailing one, says, your idea may be great, but that's not the way we drive away darkness. In anything in life, in any challenge in life, we have to begin step by step. You first light a candle, and then you light another candle. And before long, you get into the habit, you get into the spirit, and before long, you have tremendous illumination. And as our sages tell us, a little bit of light drives away much darkness. We don't have to take a broomstick and drive away darkness, just by lighting a candle. And when we talk about lighting a candle, we're not just talking about lighting a physical candle as we're doing here tonight. We're talking about an inner candle. Every human being is endowed with a gift. Every human being is God's creation. I remember once seeing a cute t-shirt that a little kid was wearing, and it had a picture of a grumpy kid, and the caption read, "I know I'm good, because God don't make no junk." Every snowflake is shaped differently, just like a fingerprint. Don't ask me how I know that. I just know it's a scientific fact, so I'm accepting it. Every human being is unique. Every human being has talents. Oftentimes we don't even know what our talents are. But when we search, we will find our talents. And the way we drive away darkness is by taking those talents and sharing it with others. And we are so fortunate here in Canada. We are the envy of the world. 75% of the world's population doesn't have a roof over its head and doesn't know where their next piece of bread is coming from. Once you start adding, if you have a car, a computer, a few dollars in the bank, you're well into the 90 percentile. And I think as Canadians, not that there isn't poverty in Canada, but it's radically different than poverty in other places in the world. I was told, I don't know if it's going to happen tonight, but there was a good chance that many of the refugees would be showing up here tonight. So I don't know if they're going to come here and they'll be able to taste the donuts, but hopefully if and when they do come, if it's during Hanukkah, they will see the shining candles and they will recognize that Canada is a bastion of light and that Edmonton is the gateway to freedom. Because many people, as Tom alluded to before, this will be their first stop. This will be their first introduction to freedom, something that they've never tasted. And what a special merit and honor that Edmonton has for that. I want to share with you just another idea, perhaps, and I'm from the States, as is our CEO. Tonight, I don't know if some of you know, is a special anniversary. It's 74 years since the day that Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "will forever live in infamy." December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was bombed. And that dragged the United States of America into World War II. Canada was already involved in the war, but this only elevated and escalated Canada's involvement. And how propitious. It was interesting because when we chose the date to have the ceremony here, I didn't recognize that it was December 7th and what its import was. It was only afterwards that when we agreed on the date, I said to myself, you know what? Look at the divine providence. That here, 74 years ago, the world was thrust into a world war. And what was the world war all about? It was trying to put an end to tyranny, trying to put an end to a madman who was looking for world domination. Very much like the story of Hanukkah, where the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, tried to dominate and tried to enforce their way of life on others, not allowing others to practice the way they saw fit. And therefore, it's most propitious that we're celebrating here tonight at EIA. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my deep felt appreciation, first and foremost, to the CEO, Mr. Tom Ruth, to Sarah Cox, Tracy Bednart, and Chris Choden, I hope I'm pronouncing the name properly, and Chris Powell. You ladies and gentlemen have been above and beyond. It's been a pleasure working with you. It's also, as I mentioned to Sarah, it's very nice to come to the airport and feel relaxed, not worrying about if you're gonna catch your flight, miss your flight, or what have you. And for the first time I can park, and Sarah told me, don't worry about it. If you get a ticket, just tear it up. Sarah, can I quote you on that every time I park? That would really be great, you know? She said, just having a ceremony, and Sarah told me I could just rip it up. But I won't take advantage of that, Sarah. It's a special one-day event. Grab it while you can. It's Sarah's going to be at the EI office tomorrow. Just kidding. I'd like to call upon Tom to please come up here and to accept this little token of appreciation from Chabad for everybody here at the airport. I'm going to ask you to open it up. And if I may say, I think it's very, very meaningful. And I hope that it'll find a prominent place in your office, on your desk somewhere, because I think that it really represents what Edmonton is and what Canada is all about.
It's very well wrapped.
That's because my kids like Scotch tape.
It's all Scotch tape.
Okay, drum roll, please.
That's beautiful.
This is a charity box. No, it does not have my organization's name attached to it. Don't worry about it. This is a charity box, and it represents exactly what it is, the idea of giving and sharing. And this is something which was very much promoted by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the leader of our organization, and really the spiritual leader of the Jewish community, who put a special emphasis on adding in goodness and kindness. He was actually approached, he's since passed away some 20 years ago, but he was approached by members of the press from CNN, and it's on camera, and they asked the Rebbe, what is your message to the world? And the Rebbe said to tell the world that Mashiach is coming, Messiah is coming, the world is going to be a better world, there's going to be peace in the world, and so on and so forth. And the interviewer from CNN asked the Rebbe, what must we do to hasten that? What is your message? And the Rebbe said, just add in goodness and kindness. That's all you have to do. Spread the message that every person should add in goodness and kindness. And as we mentioned before, everybody has the ability to do so. It could be something which is, and I've tried this, and I must say it's very difficult. I'm a New Yorker, and in New York, one of the things I remember I learned in physics, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and I use that when I go driving, okay, if I can get there really quick. And I've made it a resolution. I'm really working hard on it. I want you to know, if I see someone trying to get in, I actually let him go in ahead of me. This is not a New York trait, okay? If you have to get to a New York airport, leave an extra half an hour ahead of time, okay? Because everyone else is getting there before you. But the idea is by everybody adding in a little bit of goodness and kindness and trying to help our fellow man, then the little light that each one of us lights will spread. And very, very shortly, we will see a world that we can all be proud of, a world in which God could be proud of, and we can look around and we will all live in peace and harmony with one another. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone have a very, very happy Hanukkah. Please join us now for the delicious sufganiyot, and we'd actually have to have some closing remarks from Tom. Am I right?
No, the lights.
Oh, the lights, yes. Not closing remarks. I'm sorry, lighting when he could. So we are going to light the attendant one here. And I don't have to make a blessing because I did that before. And how do you like that? All we need is just some electricity. You know, either that or we need a miracle. Okay. First of all, it would help if it was plugged in. That's one of the key things to having a successful menorah lighting ceremony. There we go, and we're gonna light the second one here. Fantastic. Okay, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming. Please help yourselves to some delicious latkes and coffee and tea, and we'll just schmooze and cruise. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening.